Hi, friends. We're starting a new book now. This book is called Walter Brown and the Magician's Hat. And you can see his name is Walter Brown, and he has a magician's hat. What's coming out of the magician's hat? Little tiny men are coming out of the hat. I don't think that's what he's expecting. He looks very surprised. Okay. So let's read the back of it first. It says, when Walter Brown is woken on his 10th birthday by his cat Sixpence, he has no idea that his life is about to change forever. A large present wrapped in silver paper reveals an old top hat, a tiny pair of white gloves, and a magician's wand, together with a mysterious note from his late great-grandpa, Horace. So that's what he gets for his birthday. He gets the hat, the gloves, and the wand that's in his hand. But Walter gets the biggest surprise when he puts the top hat on and discovers that his cat has special powers and they've been chosen for a secret mission. What better place to start practicing magic, they decide, than on Walter's super cool new neighbors, twins Harry and George Braithwaite. Magical mayhem follows when Walter accidentally sets free monsters from their new video game and finds himself locked in battle with a fire fiend that's threatening to burn his house down. So these must be the monsters that he lets loose from the video game. Let's see what happens. So today we're going to start chapter 1. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is called A Birthday Surprise. As dawn broke on the morning of Walter Brown's 10th birthday, he hadn't the faintest idea that his life was about to change forever. Like most other boys his age, he was still fast asleep in bed. The wall beside him was covered with posters showing distant galaxies and planets, the sun, the moon, and of course, Earth. On the opposite wall hung a poster of his favorite football team, Southbridge Wanderers, and a team photo from his local soccer club. So this book is in England once again. So when they say football team, they mean soccer. In America, we call it soccer. In England, they call it football. Walter, meanwhile, lay flat on his back underneath his duvet, only his gentle breathing stirring the still morning air. So Walter's still asleep. Despite appearances, astronomy and football were the furthest thing from Walter's mind at this precise moment. So, for the matter, was his 10th birthday. Walter was far too busy dreaming his favorite dream, the one where he was in the circus ring with great-grandpa Horace, helping him perform magic. So you can see in this picture here what Walter is dreaming about. He's dreaming about being in the circus with his grandfather, Horace. Great-grandfather Horace. As ever, the benches all around brimmed with row upon row of smiling faces, disappearing high into the shadows of the big top. So you can see that there's rows and rows and rows of people and they go up into the big tent where the circus is. As always, the smiling faces were all screaming and shouting, "More, Grandpa Horace, more!" And now, as in every dream, Great-Grandpa Horace turned slowly to Walter in his black top hat and gave him a friendly wink. Wink. Let's do the last trick again. Shall we, Walter? The audience cheered, "Woo, yay!" as Walter gave a broad grin, picked up the silver-tipped wand from the table in front of him, and passed it to his grandfather's tiny white-gloved hands. In fact, Walter had never met Great-Grandpa Horace. He had died when Walter was a baby. But his mom had an old box full of newspaper cuttings and black and white photographs taken during the 50 years he had spent traveling around Europe with the circus. His tricks were so unusual that they made headline news in every city he visited, like the time he turned a horse into a snake, or when he managed to magic sweets, candy, into the hands of all the children in the audience. Another time when he made someone's dad vanish and reappear on the other side of the big top. The newspapers said they'd heard that even the magic circle couldn't explain how he did it, but being very secretive and probably a bit jealous, they would never comment. At the age of 5, Walter announced he wanted to be a magician. And though astronomy and football had since taken over, his fascination with magic had never quite left him. Had Walter been awake just now, he might have wondered why this dream had returned so vividly this particular morning. But of course, he wasn't, so he dreamed on, for a short while at least. A clock downstairs chimed once, ding! Moments later, Walter's door creaked open, shedding a beam of light from the hallway across the floor onto his bed. A tall, fluffy, black tail passed silently through the doorway. The owner of the proud tail, which now glided serenely across the room towards Walter's bed, was Walter's cat, Sixpence. So here we have a picture of Walter's cat, and his name is Sixpence. The creak on the door and the shaft of light had already begun to stir Walter. When Sixpence jumped onto his bed, Walter turned over and groaned as small lumpy paws patted over his legs, across his ribs, and up towards his head. The loud purring in his ear was the final straw. The purring is the noise that cats make. Oh, Sixpence, it's the middle of the night, Walter mumbled in a sleepy grump. Why can't you just stay on the mattress and off me? Now settle down and go to sleep. Not on your life, retorted Sixpence, except that Walter couldn't hear her. I've been waiting for this moment for 5 years. Sixpence continued purring loudly, then started nudging her head repeatedly against Walter's ear. Come on, Walter, wake up. It's your birthday. We've got things to do. Despite the nudging and the purring, and even a bit of licking, Walter was already falling back into a deep sleep. I don't believe this, cried Sixpence. It's the boy's 10th birthday, the most important one of his life, and all he wants to do is sleep. Sixpence leapt off the bed and stalked over to a pile of presents in the corner of the room. She sat down, took an enormous breath, and let out a loud, grating meow. It worked. Walter sat up in the bed, rubbing his eyes. Are you all right, Sixpence? He croaked, half asleep and half cross. But then, peering over, he saw the pile of presents in the gray morning light and remembered, hey, it's my birthday. Well done, Sixpence. Walter scrambled out of his bed across to Sixpence. He glanced at his bedside clock and groaned. It was only just gone 6:30, and no one would be up before 8. He thought about waiting for about 2 seconds, but then the temptation was too great. Walter ripped the packaging off. Right, he's opening his presents. I lost my page. Ripped the packaging off the first present. His face lit up. Wow, Southbridge Wanderers' new football strip, very nice. He held the red and white striped shirt up against himself and tried a few air kicks with his bare feet. So he got a shirt from his favorite soccer team. He tore the wrapping off the next present, a junior chemistry set, creating a world of fizzing and exploding science experiments right in your own home, said the blurb on the front of the box. Awesome, said Walter, his eyes wide as he studied the list of contents and experiments. His dad was a chemistry teacher at the local college. No prizes for guessing whose idea this was. As he picked up the next present, Sixpence meowed loudly and flicked her tail side to side. No, not that one, she said, unheard, instead peering hard at a tall rectangular box at the back of the pile. Hey, it's from Todd, said Walter, beaming. He'd recognize that handwriting anywhere. He blinked and swallowed hard. It had only been 3 weeks since his best friend had moved from next door, but already felt like a year. Wow, a book on the Northern Lights, he whispered as the paper fell away. B-O-R-I-N-G, said Sixpence with a yawn, as Walter began to leaf through the pages, gasping at each new photograph. But then the cat's black fluffy fur began to bristle and stand on end as Walter finally reached to the back of the pile for the tall box with the silver paper. Walter tore at the wrapping, adding it to the growing pile, which now surrounded Sixpence. The last piece of paper fell to the ground to reveal a battered purple box with the words "Handle with care" written in faded black ink diagonally across its side. I wonder what it is, Sixpence. Walter held the box at eye level and shook it gently from side to side. Something inside rattled. He sniffed the box. It was definitely old, like the inside of a wardrobe that hadn't been opened for 20 years. Time to find out, he said eagerly. Walter placed the box on his desk and pulled up on the dog-eared flaps that crisscrossed over the top end. As he peered down inside, he took a quick inward breath as he found himself staring at a slightly tatty black top hat. So he saw this in the box. And there's a picture of it looking down in the box. On page 8, check this out, he cried. Carefully, he reached in and lifted out the hat. As he did so, a slip of yellow paper fluttered out unnoticed and landed on the carpet. Sixpence moved to take a sitting position beside it. Still holding the hat aloft, Walter peered inside the box. At the bottom, previously hidden by the hat, lay a pair of white-gray gloves. The gloves. But that wasn't all. Wedged along one side, held in with a metal wire, was a faded black stick with a silver end. So that's what he has in his hand, a magic stick, a magic wand. Walter's heart began to race. He placed the top hat carefully on his bed, with arms trembling, lifted out the gloves and slipped them on. Then he unhooked the stick from its resting place. A magician's outfit. He breathed, his mouth widening into a smile. He held up the wand between his white gloved fingers and turned to reach for the hat. As he did so, he spotted the square of yellow paper on the carpet beside Sixpence. What's that, Sixpence? He leaned forward, picked up the note, and quickly unfolded it. The message, in looped and shaky handwriting, was addressed to him. The note is right here. That's the one that came out of the box. For my great and only grandson, Walter Brown, a gift on your 10th birthday, which was a gift to me on mine. It's a magical age. Stay focused and have fun. Sorry I can't be there to see you open this. With love from your late great-grandpa Horace. It was from his grandpa. And that's the end of chapter 1. Thank you. Remember, go back, put a star next to things you think are important, circle your new words, underline your favorite sentences, and make sure you write summaries on the top of every page. Thank you. Bye.